Question 1. A development team has been consistently failing to meet its sprint goals, often carrying over significant undone work into subsequent sprints. As the Scrum Master, what is your primary responsibility in this situation? A. Take ownership of the sprint backlog to ensure commitments are realistic and achievable. B. Report the development team's poor performance to management so they can intervene and resolve the issues. C. Coach the development team and product owner to improve their forecasting, planning, and definition of done, and facilitate retrospective discussions to identify systemic problems. D. Reassign tasks and work items within the sprint to better distribute the workload and prevent future overcommitment. Answer: C. Coach the development team and product owner to improve their forecasting, planning, and definition of done, and facilitate retrospective discussions to identify systemic problems. The Scrum Master's primary responsibility in this scenario is to act as a servant leader, coaching the Scrum team to improve their practices. Failing to meet sprint goals indicates a need to inspect and adapt their planning, forecasting, and understanding of done. Facilitating a strong sprint retrospective allows the team to identify root causes, like an insufficient definition of done or poor estimation, and create actionable improvements themselves. Remember, the Scrum Master empowers the team to solve their own problems, not to solve them for them. Question 2. During a daily Scrum, a development team member reports a significant impediment that will prevent them from completing their planned work for the sprint. What is the most appropriate action for the Scrum Master? A. Immediately take ownership of the impediment and personally work to resolve it during the daily Scrum. B. Listen to the impediment, ensure it's recorded, and work to remove it after the daily Scrum, without disrupting the team's self-organization. C. Instruct the development team member to resolve the impediment themselves, as they are self-managing. D. Pause the daily Scrum to bring in external stakeholders to help resolve the impediment on the spot. Answer: B. Listen to the impediment, ensure it's recorded, and work to remove it after the daily Scrum, without disrupting the team's self-organization. The Scrum Master serves the development team by removing impediments, but this action should be performed efficiently and without interrupting the flow of the daily Scrum. The daily Scrum is for the development team to synchronize their work, and the Scrum Master's role is to ensure it remains a 15-minute time-boxed event focused on their progress toward the sprint goal. By listening and taking note, the Scrum Master can address the impediment outside of the meeting, allowing the team to continue their planning and coordination uninterrupted. Always remember that the daily Scrum is for the development team, by the development team. Question 3. The product owner is struggling to order the product backlog effectively, often changing priorities daily based on stakeholder feedback, leading to confusion for the development team. What is the most appropriate action for the Scrum Master? A. Take over the product backlog ordering temporarily to demonstrate proper techniques. B. Facilitate workshops and coach the product owner on product backlog refinement techniques, value-based ordering, and stakeholder management. C. Tell the development team to ignore the frequent changes and focus on the current sprint backlog. D. Inform the management of the product owner's inefficiency and suggest a replacement. Answer: B. Facilitate workshops and coach the product owner on product backlog refinement techniques, value-based ordering, and stakeholder management. The Scrum Master serves the product owner by helping them find techniques for effective product backlog management, including clear ordering based on value, dependency, and risk. By coaching and facilitating workshops, the Scrum Master empowers the product owner to improve their skills in prioritization and stakeholder communication, rather than doing the work for them or escalating the issue. This approach helps the product owner understand how to maintain a stable and valuable product backlog that provides clear direction for the development team. Think of the Scrum Master as a guide who helps others learn and grow, not a decision-maker for their roles. Question 4. During a sprint retrospective, the development team identifies a major technical debt issue that significantly slows down their progress. They propose dedicating the entire next sprint to addressing this technical debt. What should the Scrum Master advise? A. Support the development team's proposal without question, as they are self-managing. B. Coach the team to discuss the technical debt with the product owner and jointly decide how to incorporate it into future sprints, balancing it with new feature development. C. Tell the development team that only new features can be worked on in a sprint, as technical debt is not part of the product backlog. D. Instruct the product owner to add the technical debt as the highest priority item to the product backlog for the next sprint. Answer: B. Coach the team to discuss the technical debt with the product owner and jointly decide how to incorporate it into future sprints, balancing it with new feature development. Technical debt is a crucial aspect of product quality and can significantly impact future development. While the development team identifies the need, the product owner is responsible for maximizing the value of the product, which includes balancing new feature delivery with maintaining the product's health. The Scrum Master should facilitate this conversation, helping the team articulate the impact of the technical debt and the product owner understand its importance, so they can collaboratively decide how to address it, perhaps by creating product backlog items for the debt and prioritizing them accordingly. Remember, transparent discussions between the product owner and development team lead to shared understanding and better decisions for the product. Question 5. The development team consistently finishes their sprint work early and then starts pulling in new, unrefined product backlog items without consulting the product owner or updating the sprint backlog. As the Scrum Master, what is your primary concern? A. The team is overcommitting by starting unrefined work, potentially creating rework or low-value features. B. The team is demonstrating excellent velocity and should be praised for their efficiency. C. The team is being proactive, which is a sign of self-management. D. The product owner might feel redundant if the team is not engaging them. Answer: A. The team is overcommitting by starting unrefined work, potentially creating rework or low-value features. While finishing early might seem positive, pulling unrefined product backlog items without proper discussion with the product owner can lead to significant problems. Unrefined items lack clarity, estimated effort, and a defined value, meaning the team might build something that isn't truly needed or useful, leading to rework and waste. The sprint goal and sprint backlog should be considered relatively stable during a sprint to maintain focus and ensure transparency. The Scrum Master should coach the team and product owner on the importance of product backlog refinement and the sanctity of the sprint goal, emphasizing that any new work pulled into the sprint should align with the sprint goal and be properly understood. Question 6. During a sprint review, stakeholders are not actively engaging or providing feedback. They simply observe the increment and leave. What should the Scrum Master do to improve this event? A. Ask the development team to prepare more detailed presentations and demonstrations. B. Suggest canceling the sprint review, as it seems unproductive for this team. C. Coach the product owner and development team on how to facilitate a more interactive session, emphasizing the sprint review's purpose for inspection and adaptation with stakeholders. D. Take over the facilitation of the sprint review entirely to ensure stakeholder engagement. Answer: C. Coach the product owner and development team on how to facilitate a more interactive session, emphasizing the sprint review's purpose for inspection and adaptation with stakeholders. The sprint review is a crucial inspect and adapt event where the Scrum team and stakeholders collaborate on what was done in the sprint and what to do next. If stakeholders are disengaged, it indicates a missed opportunity for valuable feedback and collaborative decision-making. The Scrum Master should coach the product owner and development team on how to structure the review to encourage dialogue, present the increment in a way that invites discussion, and frame the session as a working meeting for gathering input, rather than just a demo. The goal is to maximize the value of the sprint review by fostering active participation and shared understanding of product progression. Question 7. The development team is consistently struggling to complete the work they committed to in sprint planning. When asked in the Daily Scrum, they often say, "I worked on my task," without much detail on progress towards the sprint goal. What is the Scrum Master's best approach? A. Request individual status reports from each team member after the Daily Scrum. B. Coach the development team on the purpose of the daily Scrum, to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog, fostering a plan for the next 24 hours. C. Advise the product owner to reduce the scope of sprints dramatically to ensure completion. D. Recommend a longer daily Scrum to allow more detailed individual updates. Answer: B. Coach the development team on the purpose of the daily Scrum, to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog, fostering a plan for the next 24 hours. The Daily Scrum is not a status meeting for the Scrum Master or product owner, it's a planning meeting for the development team. If team members are merely reporting, "I worked on my task," they are missing the core purpose, which is to collaboratively inspect progress towards the sprint goal and create a plan for the next 24 hours. The Scrum Master needs to coach them to communicate about their progress in relation to the sprint goal, identify impediments, and adjust their plan as a self-managing team. Help the team understand that they are planning their work together, not just reporting individual activities. Question 8. A new development team member joins the team mid-sprint. The team wants to bring them up to speed quickly. What is the most Scrum-aligned way to integrate the new member? A. The Scrum Master should dedicate significant time to personally mentor and onboard the new team member, assigning them simple tasks. B. The development team should collectively take responsibility for onboarding the new member, sharing knowledge, and helping them pick up work items from the sprint backlog based on their skills and the sprint goal. C. The product owner should create a special set of onboarding tasks for the new member, separate from the sprint backlog. D. The new member should shadow existing team members for the remainder of the sprint without contributing to the sprint goal. Answer: B. The development team should collectively take responsibility for onboarding the new member, sharing knowledge, and helping them pick up work items from the sprint backlog based on their skills and the sprint goal. Scrum teams are self-managing and cross-functional, meaning they collectively own the responsibility for the sprint backlog and achieving the sprint goal. Integrating a new team member is part of this collective responsibility. The existing development team members are best positioned to share knowledge, pair program, and help the new member contribute meaningfully to the current sprint, potentially by taking on items from the sprint backlog that align with their skills, ensuring they immediately become productive. This fosters team cohesion and minimizes disruption. Question 9. During sprint planning, the product owner is struggling to clearly articulate the product goal and how the proposed product backlog items contribute to it. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Step in and define the product goal and product backlog items for the product owner, as the team needs clarity. B. Coach the product owner on the importance of a clear product goal for long-term vision and assist them in articulating it, and guide them in effectively communicating product backlog items. C. Ask the development team to proceed with the sprint planning based on their best guess of the product goal. D. Cancel sprint planning until the product owner has a perfectly defined product goal. Answer: B. Coach the product owner on the importance of a clear product goal for long-term vision and assist them in articulating it, and guide them in effectively communicating product backlog items. The product goal provides the long-term objective for the Scrum team, guiding their work and decision-making for multiple sprints. A clear product goal is essential for the product owner to effectively order the product backlog and for the development team to understand the value they are creating. The Scrum Master should coach the product owner on this aspect, helping them refine and communicate a compelling product goal and ensuring the sprint planning session focuses on how the sprint goal contributes to it. This coaching empowers the product owner without taking over their accountability. Question 10. The product owner has a habit of adding new, critical product backlog items directly to the sprint backlog mid-sprint, bypassing refinement and sprint planning. How should the Scrum Master address this? A. Allow it, as the product owner has the final say on product content. B. Immediately remove the items from the sprint backlog, as they were not planned. C. Coach the product owner on the purpose of the sprint backlog stability and the importance of sprint planning and product backlog refinement for transparency and predictability. D. Advise the development team to work overtime to accommodate the additional scope. Answer: C. Coach the product owner on the purpose of the sprint backlog stability and the importance of sprint planning and product backlog refinement for transparency and predictability. The sprint backlog is considered a forecast of the work needed to achieve the sprint goal, and once committed, it should remain relatively stable to allow the development team to focus and deliver. Arbitrarily adding new items mid-sprint disrupts the team's focus, jeopardizes the sprint goal, and undermines transparency and predictability. The Scrum Master's role is to ensure Scrum is understood and enacted, which includes coaching the product owner on respecting the sprint boundaries and utilizing product backlog refinement and sprint planning to introduce new work appropriately. This helps maintain the rhythm and integrity of the sprint. Question 11. During a sprint, a key stakeholder approaches a development team member directly, asking for a specific, urgent feature to be developed and deployed immediately, bypassing the product owner. What should the development team member do? A. Develop the feature as requested, since it's urgent and from a key stakeholder. B. Inform the Scrum Master about the request and wait for instructions. C. Politely direct the stakeholder to the product owner, explaining that all new work must go through the product backlog and the product owner's prioritization. D. Add the feature to the sprint backlog and inform the product owner after it's done. Answer: C. Politely direct the stakeholder to the product owner, explaining that all new work must go through the product backlog and the product owner's prioritization. In Scrum, the product owner is the sole authority for managing the product backlog and prioritizing work to maximize value. Direct requests to development team members bypass this critical role, leading to potential chaos, conflicting priorities, and a loss of transparency over what the team is truly working on. The development team must protect its sprint goal and direct all external requests for new work to the product owner, who can then assess, refine, and prioritize it for future sprints. This ensures a single source of truth for work and maintains focus. Question 12. The development team is highly effective at delivering completed increments, but they rarely engage in product backlog refinement, leading to a shallow and poorly understood product backlog for future sprints. As the Scrum Master, what is your primary concern? A. The team might burn out due to constant high-pressure delivery without breaks. B. The product owner might struggle to prepare for future sprint planning events, potentially leading to inefficient sprints and a slower delivery of value. C. The quality of the delivered increments will eventually decline without sufficient preparation. D. The team is demonstrating self-organization, which is a positive sign. Answer: B. The product owner might struggle to prepare for future sprint planning events, potentially leading to inefficient sprints and a slower delivery of value. Product backlog refinement is a continuous activity where the product owner and development team collaborate to add detail, estimates, and order to product backlog items, preparing them for future sprints. If this is neglected, the product backlog becomes opaque, making it difficult for the product owner to prioritize effectively and for the development team to forecast and plan sprints accurately. This lack of readiness can lead to inefficient sprint planning sessions, a lower likelihood of achieving sprint goals, and ultimately, a slower delivery of valuable increments. The Scrum Master should coach the team and product owner on the importance of continuous refinement. Question 13. A development team member consistently struggles with collaboration and often works in isolation, preferring to take on tasks that they can complete alone. This leads to knowledge silos and occasional delays when their specific task becomes a bottleneck. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Assign the team member to tasks that require more direct collaboration. B. Coach the team member on Scrum values like commitment, focus, and respect, and facilitate discussions within the team about the importance of cross-functional collaboration and shared ownership. C. Advise the product owner to create smaller, more independent tasks for this team member. D. Report the team member's behavior to their functional manager for disciplinary action. Answer: B. Coach the team member on Scrum values like commitment, focus, and respect, and facilitate discussions within the team about the importance of cross-functional collaboration and shared ownership. Scrum emphasizes teamwork, collaboration, and collective responsibility for the increment. A team member working in isolation creates dependencies, knowledge silos, and undermines the cross-functional nature of the development team. The Scrum Master should coach the individual and the entire team on the Scrum values, particularly respect and commitment, and facilitate discussions about how individual behavior impacts the team's ability to achieve the sprint goal together. This approach encourages self-correction and strengthens the team's collaborative spirit. Question 14. The CEO of the organization attends the daily Scrum and starts asking each development team member for a status update on their individual tasks, extending the meeting significantly. What is the Scrum Master's best course of action? A. Allow the CEO to continue, as their presence is a sign of engagement. B. Politely remind the CEO that the daily Scrum is for the development team's internal planning and synchronization, and is time-boxed to 15 minutes, offering to schedule a separate meeting for their updates. C. Ask the development team to provide more detailed updates to satisfy the CEO. D. Terminate the daily Scrum early to prevent further disruption. Answer. B. Politely remind the CEO that the daily Scrum is for the development team's internal planning and synchronization, and is time-boxed to 15 minutes, offering to schedule a separate meeting for their updates. The daily Scrum is a 15-minute event for the development team to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog for the next 24 hours. It is not a status meeting for stakeholders or management. The Scrum Master's role is to enforce the Scrum framework, including time boxes and event purposes, by protecting the development team from external interference. Gently educating the CEO about the event's purpose and offering an alternative for their updates demonstrates respect while upholding Scrum principles. Protecting the daily Scrum's integrity allows the team to maintain focus and efficiency. Question 15. The development team continuously delivers increments that are done according to their definition of done, but stakeholders often complain that the product lacks polish and critical usability features. What could be the underlying issue, and what should the Scrum Master suggest? A. The development team needs more training in user experience design. The Scrum Master should arrange this. B. The definition of done is not robust enough. The Scrum Master should coach the team to expand it to include quality attributes like usability, performance, and stakeholder acceptance criteria. C. The product owner is not adequately prioritizing usability features. The Scrum Master should tell them to do so. D. The sprint review is not being conducted effectively. The Scrum Master should facilitate it more strictly. Answer. B. The definition of done is not robust enough. The Scrum Master should coach the team to expand it to include quality attributes like usability, performance, and stakeholder acceptance criteria. The definition of done, DoD, is a formal description of the state of the increment when it meets the quality measures required for the product. If stakeholders complain about polish or usability despite the increment being done, it indicates that these crucial aspects are not explicitly covered within the current DoD. The Scrum Master should coach the development team to collaboratively expand their DoD to incorporate these missing quality characteristics, ensuring that every done increment is truly ready for release and meets stakeholder expectations. A stronger DoD leads to higher quality and transparency. Question 16. The product owner is frequently absent during sprint planning and product backlog refinement, leaving the development team to make assumptions about priorities and details. What is the Scrum Master's best course of action? A. Take on the product owner's responsibilities to ensure the team has work. B. Coach the product owner on their critical role in these events for maximizing product value and guiding the development team. C. Advise the development team to proceed with the sprint based on their best interpretation of the product backlog. D. Inform senior management about the product owner's absenteeism. Answer. B. Coach the product owner on their critical role in these events for maximizing product value and guiding the development team. The product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product, and their active participation in sprint planning and product backlog refinement is crucial for this. Their absence deprives the development team of necessary context, clarity, and prioritized guidance, leading to potential misinterpretations and inefficient work. The Scrum Master's role is to ensure the Scrum framework is understood and enacted, which includes coaching the product owner on their responsibilities and the impact of their engagement on the team's ability to deliver value. Empowering the product owner through coaching is key to improving team performance. Question 17. A new Scrum team is struggling to understand the concept of self-managing. They keep looking to the Scrum Master for task assignments and daily instructions. How should the Scrum Master guide them? A. Start assigning tasks to them to demonstrate efficiency. B. Tell them they are failing to be self-managing and need to improve. C. Coach them on the authority they have to manage their own work within the sprint goal, make decisions on how to best achieve it, and collaboratively choose their tasks. D. Create a detailed daily plan for the team to follow for the sprint. Answer: C. Coach them on the authority they have to manage their own work within the sprint goal, make decisions on how to best achieve it, and collaboratively choose their tasks. Self-managing means the development team internally decides who does what, when, and how, without external direction, to best achieve the sprint goal. New teams often need guidance and coaching to embrace this autonomy and responsibility. The Scrum Master's role is to facilitate this understanding, encouraging them to collaboratively plan, make decisions, and organize their work themselves, fostering an environment where they feel empowered to own their process and outcomes. Remember, the Scrum Master enables the team's self-organization, not dictates it. Question 18. During a sprint retrospective, the development team identifies that frequent context switching due to urgent external requests is hindering their focus and productivity. What is the most appropriate action for the Scrum Master? A. Instruct the development team to ignore all external requests during a sprint. B. Coach the development team on how to protect their sprint, perhaps by working with the product owner to establish clear boundaries and communication channels for external stakeholders. C. Escalate the issue to senior management to mandate a no interruption policy. D. Introduce a new process for tracking and managing external requests separately. Answer: B. Coach the development team on how to protect their sprint, perhaps by working with the product owner to establish clear boundaries and communication channels for external stakeholders. Frequent interruptions and context switching are common impediments to a development team's focus and ability to achieve the sprint goal. The Scrum Master should coach the team on how to address this issue collaboratively, potentially involving the product owner to manage stakeholder expectations and funnel requests appropriately through the product backlog. The goal is to empower the team to protect their work and focus, while also educating the organization about the stability of the sprint goal. Help the team find their voice in communicating their needs to external parties. Question 19. The development team is consistently struggling to complete all items in their sprint backlog by the end of the sprint, despite working hard. They are highly motivated but often take on too much. What should the Scrum Master focus on coaching? A. The team's commitment to the sprint goal, urging them to work harder. B. The importance of a realistic forecast during sprint planning and the benefit of a stable sprint backlog. C. The need to ask the product owner to remove items from the sprint backlog mid-sprint. D. The team's individual task management skills. Answer: B. The importance of a realistic forecast during sprint planning and the benefit of a stable sprint backlog. If a development team consistently overcommits, it's often due to an unrealistic forecast during sprint planning, where they pull too much work into the sprint backlog. The Scrum Master should coach the team on improving their forecasting abilities, perhaps using historical data, velocity, or clearer refinement, and help them understand that a stable sprint backlog allows for focus and a higher likelihood of achieving the sprint goal. It's about sustainable pace and realistic planning, not simply working harder. Question 20. An organization's functional managers regularly reassign developers between different Scrum teams mid-sprint, causing significant disruption and impacting sprint goals. What should the Scrum Master's primary response be? A. Accept it as an organizational reality and help the team adapt. B. Coach the functional managers and the organization on the importance of stable, dedicated Scrum teams for sustained productivity and Scrum's principle of stable teams. C. Advise the development team to work extra hours to compensate for the reassignments. D. Demand that the product owner reprioritize the product backlog every time a developer is reassigned. Answer: B. Coach the functional managers and the organization on the importance of stable, dedicated Scrum teams for sustained productivity and Scrum's principle of stable teams. Scrum relies on stable, dedicated, and cross-functional teams to build collective knowledge, improve collaboration, and achieve predictable delivery. Regularly reassigning developers disrupts team dynamics, breaks continuity, and significantly impairs the team's ability to achieve its sprint goal and improve over time. The Scrum Master must act as a change agent, coaching the organization and functional managers on the detrimental effects of this practice and advocating for stable team structures. This organizational impediment needs to be addressed at a systemic level to allow Scrum to truly flourish. Question 21. The development team uses a burn-down chart to track progress, but they only update it at the end of the sprint, making it impossible to inspect progress during the sprint. How should the Scrum Master guide the team? A. Tell them to update the burn-down chart daily. B. Explain that the sprint backlog and its inspection during the daily Scrum are more important than the burn-down chart, but a visual representation of progress helps transparency. C. Remove the burn-down chart as it's not a mandatory artifact. D. Take over updating the burn-down chart daily for the team. Answer: B. Explain that the sprint backlog and its inspection during the daily Scrum are more important than the burn-down chart, but a visual representation of progress helps transparency. While a burn-down chart is a common and useful tool for visualizing progress, it is not a mandatory Scrum artifact. The Scrum Guide emphasizes the sprint backlog as the real-time, highly visible plan for the development team, and the daily Scrum as the event for inspecting progress and adapting. The Scrum Master should coach the team on the value of transparency provided by frequently updating their progress, whether through a burn-down, burn-up, or simply a visible sprint backlog, to enable daily inspection and adaptation. The key is to foster transparency for the team's benefit, rather than enforcing a specific tool. Question 22. The product owner is highly technical and often dictates how the development team should implement product backlog items, rather than focusing on what needs to be built and why. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Encourage the product owner to continue providing technical guidance, as it ensures quality. B. Remind the product owner that the development team is self-managing regarding how to turn product backlog items into an increment. C. Advise the development team to simply follow the product owner's technical instructions to avoid conflict. D. Suggest that the product owner also act as a developer to use their technical skills. Answer: B. Remind the product owner that the development team is self-managing regarding how to turn product backlog items into an increment. One of the core principles of Scrum is that the development team is self-managing and owns the how of development, meaning they decide the best technical approach to create a done increment. The product owner is accountable for what, the product backlog, and why, the product goal. The Scrum Master needs to coach the product owner to respect this boundary, enabling the development team to leverage their collective expertise and innovate on solutions. This ensures the team's autonomy and fosters better technical decisions. Question 23. During a sprint retrospective, the development team identifies that the definition of done is not consistently applied across all team members, leading to varying levels of quality in the increment. What should the Scrum Master facilitate? A. A discussion to eliminate the definition of done since it's causing inconsistency. B. A session for the development team to collectively inspect and adapt their definition of done, making it clearer and ensuring everyone understands and commits to it. C. Assign a quality assurance lead to enforce the definition of done. D. Advise the product owner to reject increments that don't meet a higher quality standard. Answer: B. A session for the development team to collectively inspect and adapt their definition of done, making it clearer and ensuring everyone understands and commits to it. The definition of done, DoD, creates transparency by providing a shared understanding of what it means for work to be complete and meet the required quality. If it's inconsistently applied, the quality of the increment becomes unpredictable. The Scrum Master should facilitate a discussion within the development team during the retrospective to clarify the DoD, identify reasons for inconsistency, and ensure collective understanding and commitment to upholding it. This reinforces the team's self-managing aspect and shared responsibility for quality. Question 24. A Scrum team has been using Scrum for several months, but they consistently struggle to produce a done increment at the end of each sprint. Instead, they often have many items, almost done, or waiting for final testing. What is the most likely root cause, and what should the Scrum Master address? A. The sprint is too short, they need longer sprints to finish work. B. The definition of done is either missing or too weak, not encompassing all necessary steps to be releasable. C. The product owner is not providing clear enough requirements. D. The development team needs more individual training on time management. Answer: B. The definition of done is either missing or too weak, not encompassing all necessary steps to be releasable. If a team consistently finishes sprints with items, almost done, it's a strong indicator that their definition of done, DoD, is incomplete or not rigorously followed. The DoD defines all the activities required for a product backlog item to be considered shippable or releasable. If steps like thorough testing or integration are not part of the DoD, work will inevitably be left incomplete. The Scrum Master must coach the development team to strengthen their DoD to include all necessary quality activities, ensuring true transparency about what done means. Question 25. The development team expresses frustration that they are constantly pulled into meetings by external departments, disrupting their focus during the sprint. How should the Scrum Master respond? A. Tell them to politely decline all external meeting invitations during the sprint. B. Facilitate a discussion with the team and potentially the product owner to devise strategies for protecting the sprint, such as setting focus time or designating a single point of contact for external inquiries. C. Take on all external meeting requests themselves to shield the team. D. Advise them to schedule all external meetings outside of core working hours. Answer: B. Facilitate a discussion with the team and potentially the product owner to devise strategies for protecting the sprint, such as setting focus time or designating a single point of contact for external inquiries. The Scrum Master serves the development team by removing impediments and protecting them from external distractions so they can focus on achieving the sprint goal. Instead of solving the problem for them, the Scrum Master should coach the team to collaboratively identify strategies to manage these interruptions, potentially involving the product owner to manage stakeholder expectations. This approach empowers the team to own their work environment and encourages self-management, while the Scrum Master supports their chosen solution. Question 26. During a sprint review, the product owner accepts an increment, but then a key stakeholder states they are unhappy because a crucial feature they requested last sprint is missing. The product owner responds that it was deprioritized. What should the Scrum Master remind the team and stakeholders of? A. That the product owner has the final say on prioritization, and stakeholders must accept it. B. The importance of transparency in the product backlog and the collaborative nature of the sprint review to inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog together. C. That the development team failed to deliver the feature, and they should explain why. D. That all stakeholder requests must be documented and formally approved before being added to the product backlog. Answer: B. The importance of transparency in the product backlog and the collaborative nature of the sprint review to inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog together. The sprint review is a key event for transparency and adaptation, where the Scrum team and stakeholders collaborate on the increment and inspect the product backlog for the next sprint. If a stakeholder is surprised by a feature's absence, it indicates a lack of transparency or insufficient engagement. The Scrum Master should emphasize that the product backlog should always be visible and understood by all, and the sprint review is the prime opportunity for stakeholders to provide feedback and influence future direction, fostering a collaborative, transparent environment. Question 27. The Scrum Master observes that the development team members are reluctant to challenge each other's ideas or provide constructive feedback, leading to suboptimal technical solutions and a lack of innovation. What Scrum value is primarily lacking, and how should the Scrum Master address it? A. Focus. The Scrum Master should impose stricter rules for technical decisions. B. Courage. The Scrum Master should coach the team on fostering an environment of psychological safety and open communication. C. Commitment. The Scrum Master should assign a team leader to ensure accountability. D. Respect. The Scrum Master should remind them to be polite to each other. Answer. B. Courage. The Scrum Master should coach the team on fostering an environment of psychological safety and open communication. The Scrum value of courage means team members dare to do the right thing, work on difficult problems, and voice their opinions even when it's uncomfortable. If a team is reluctant to challenge ideas, it often stems from a lack of psychological safety, where members fear negative consequences for speaking up. The Scrum Master must coach the team to cultivate an environment of trust and open dialogue, emphasizing that constructive criticism is essential for growth, innovation, and arriving at the best solutions. Fostering a safe space is crucial for team health and effectiveness. Question 28. A new company-wide performance review system mandates individual goals and metrics that conflict with Scrum's emphasis on team accountability and collective ownership of the increment. How should the Scrum Master address this organizational impediment? A. Advise the Scrum team to ignore the company's performance review system. B. Coach management and HR on how the new system's individual focus undermines Scrum's team-based principles and collective accountability, advocating for alignment. C. Create a separate, Scrum-specific performance review system for the team. D. Document the conflict and suggest the team works harder to meet both sets of expectations. Answer. B. Coach management and HR on how the new system's individual focus undermines Scrum's team-based principles and collective accountability, advocating for alignment. Scrum emphasizes collective ownership and team accountability for the increment and sprint goal, not individual performance metrics, which can create counterproductive behaviors and undermine collaboration. A conflicting performance review system is a significant organizational impediment. The Scrum Master, as a change agent, must coach the wider organization, including management and HR, on the importance of aligning organizational processes with Scrum's values and principles to enable effective team performance. Advocating for system-level changes is a key part of the Scrum Master's role. Question 29. The development team is consistently creating a done increment, but they are not confident in releasing it to production frequently due to fear of breaking existing functionality. What does this situation indicate, and what should the Scrum Master suggest? A. The team needs to dedicate an entire sprint to writing comprehensive end-to-end tests. B. The definition of done likely doesn't adequately cover integration, regression testing, or other aspects necessary for true releasability, and the team needs coaching to improve its technical practices and definition of done. C. The product owner needs to be less demanding about feature delivery, allowing more time for manual testing. D. The organization needs to hire a separate quality assurance team to handle release confidence. Answer. B. The definition of done likely doesn't adequately cover integration, regression testing, or other aspects necessary for true releasability, and the team needs coaching to improve its technical practices and definition of done. A done increment should ideally be ready for release, meaning it meets all defined quality criteria and is production ready. If the team consistently delivers done work but lacks confidence in releasing, it indicates that their definition of done DoD, is insufficient for true releasability, or their technical practices, like automated testing, continuous integration, are not robust enough. The Scrum Master should coach the development team to strengthen their DoD to include all necessary steps for release confidence and to improve their engineering practices to ensure high quality and reduce fear of regression. Question 30. During the daily Scrum, a development team member spends a lot of time detailing every small step they completed yesterday and plans to do today, without relating it to the sprint goal or identifying any roadblocks. What is the Scrum Master's best intervention? A. Let them continue, as long as everyone gets a chance to speak. B. Remind the team that the daily Scrum is for inspecting progress towards the sprint goal and adapting the plan for the next 24 hours, not a detailed status report. C. Ask them to provide a more concise summary, but don't interrupt the flow. D. Suggest they provide their updates in writing before the daily Scrum. Answer. B. Remind the team that the daily Scrum is for inspecting progress towards the sprint goal and adapting the plan for the next 24 hours, not a detailed status report. The daily Scrum is a 15-minute event where the development team inspects progress toward the sprint goal and adapts the sprint backlog. It's not a detailed status update for the Scrum Master or product owner. If a team member is overly verbose and not connecting their updates to the sprint goal or identifying impediments, the Scrum Master should gently coach the team on the event's purpose, to collaborate and plan for the next 24 hours to achieve the sprint goal. This helps maintain focus and the time box. Question 31. The product owner frequently uses the sprint review as a platform to unveil new, unrefined ideas for future features, rather than focusing on the increment just completed. This distracts stakeholders and causes confusion. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Encourage the product owner's enthusiasm for new ideas, as it shows vision. B. Coach the product owner on the primary purpose of the sprint review, to inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog based on feedback, and that new ideas should be refined before presentation. C. Ask the development team to prepare to discuss these new ideas during the sprint review. D. Schedule separate idea generation meetings for the product owner and stakeholders. Answer. B. Coach the product owner on the primary purpose of the sprint review, to inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog based on feedback, and that new ideas should be refined before presentation. The sprint review is a formal opportunity to inspect the done, increment and collaboratively adapt the product backlog. While discussing future possibilities is part of it, the focus should be on the increment and how feedback from stakeholders impacts the product backlog as it exists. Introducing entirely new, unrefined ideas can derail the review, confuse stakeholders, and detract from inspecting the value just delivered. The Scrum Master must coach the product owner to maintain the event's focus and ensure transparency regarding the current state of the product backlog and increment. Question 32. A development team member consistently works on tasks that are below their skill level, leading to boredom and a lack of growth, while other, more challenging tasks sit undone. What Scrum value is being overlooked, and what should the Scrum Master address? A. Openness. The team member should openly communicate their boredom. B. Focus. The team member should focus only on their assigned tasks. C. Respect. The team should respect individual skill levels and encourage growth, and the Scrum Master should coach the team on self-managing task selection to optimize for the sprint goal and individual development. D. Commitment. The team member should commit to any task. Answer. C. Respect. The team should respect individual skill levels and encourage growth, and the Scrum Master should coach the team on self-managing task selection to optimize for the sprint goal and individual development. The Scrum value of respect means respecting each other as capable, independent people and respecting the diverse backgrounds of team members. It also ties into courage to take on challenging work and focus on the sprint goal. A self-managing development team decides how best to achieve the sprint goal, including who works on what. The Scrum Master should coach the team to leverage everyone's skills, encourage taking on new challenges, and collaboratively assign tasks to optimize for both the sprint goal and individual growth, fostering a culture of mutual support and development. Question 33. The organization has a highly rigid change management process that requires extensive documentation and approval for any changes to production, making frequent releases of a done increment practically impossible. As the Scrum Master, what is your approach? A. Advise the Scrum team to build up a large increment and release it quarterly to accommodate the process. B. Work with the development team to identify improvements to their definition of done, while simultaneously coaching the organization on how to adapt the change management process to enable faster, safer releases. C. Tell the development team to bypass the process and release when they feel ready. D. Accept that frequent releases are not possible in this organization. Answer. B. Work with the development team to identify improvements to their definition of done, while simultaneously coaching the organization on how to adapt the change management process to enable faster, safer releases. A core benefit of Scrum is the ability to deliver frequently inspectable and releasable increments. A rigid change management process is a significant organizational impediment that prevents this. The Scrum Master must act as a change agent, coaching both the development team to ensure their definition of done is truly robust and the wider organization to inspect and adapt its processes to enable greater agility and safer, more frequent releases. It's a two-pronged approach addressing both the team's capabilities and the organizational environment. Question 34. A long-standing development team has grown comfortable with their current pace and practices, showing little interest in identifying improvements during sprint retrospectives, often stating, "Everything is fine." What is the Scrum Master's role here? A. Accept their decision, as they are self-managing. B. Introduce new facilitation techniques to encourage deeper inspection, challenge assumptions, and highlight potential areas for growth and optimization, even when things seem fine. C. Remind them that continuous improvement is mandatory in Scrum. D. Ask the product owner to set more challenging sprint goals to force improvement. Answer. B. Introduce new facilitation techniques to encourage deeper inspection, challenge assumptions, and highlight potential areas for growth and optimization, even when things seem fine. Continuous improvement is a cornerstone of Scrum's empiricism, and the Sprint Retrospective is the dedicated event for this. If a team is complacent, it's the Scrum Master's responsibility to act as a facilitator, introducing novel techniques or provocative questions to help the team look beyond surface-level observations and identify areas for improvement in their processes, tools, or interactions. The Scrum Master fosters an environment of continuous learning and adaptation, helping the team see opportunities even when things feel stable. Question 35. The product owner insists on using velocity as the sole metric for development team performance, pushing the team to increase its sprint over sprint, leading to decreased quality and increased technical debt. What should the Scrum Master do? A. Encourage the development team to focus on increasing velocity to satisfy the product owner. B. Coach the product owner on the appropriate use of velocity as a forecasting tool, not a performance metric for individuals or for external comparison, and emphasize the importance of sustainable pace and quality. C. Report the product owner's behavior to their functional manager. D. Introduce additional metrics to track individual team member contributions to deflect attention from team velocity. Answer. B. Coach the product owner on the appropriate use of velocity as a forecasting tool, not a performance metric for individuals or for external comparison, and emphasize the importance of sustainable pace and quality. Velocity is a useful tool for the development team to forecast how much work they can realistically pull into future sprints. However, using it as a performance metric for individual teams or for pushing for constant increases often leads to dysfunctional behaviors like padding estimates, cutting corners on quality, leading to technical debt, and an unsustainable pace. The Scrum Master must coach the product owner and the organization on the true purpose of velocity and the importance of delivering a done increment with sustainable quality, rather than focusing solely on output quantity.